2, 1. What's going on, people? This is No Labels Podcast. I am your host, Willie G. We got Miss Audrey in the building.
Hey, y'all.
We got the Queen, Miss Keandra in the building. How y'all doing today, man? We back.
Good.
How you feeling? We got it's a lot of stuff going on. We gonna chip. I got some topics. It may get controversial a little bit.
I never know.
I don't know.
I love that I walk in here blind to the topics every week.
It may get controversial. The title, The Burden of the Truth.
The burden of truth.
But we're going to get to that. We're gonna get to the burden of the truth. But we're going to have some icebreakers. You know what I'm saying? How was everybody 4th of July? Even though I celebrate Juneteenth.
Yeah.
Make it clear,
I still have on my Juneteenth bracelet. So this one says, I am Black History. This one says, it's the Black History. And this one says, Happy Freedom Day. But also July 4th is my brother's birthday.
Oh, so that's fire.
And actually I have another couple of friends whose birthday is also July 4th. So it is just a lot of celebratory activity going on for me on the 4th of July. You know, I don't mind the fireworks. I'm kind of here for them. You know, I like to watch them, watch my neighbor's fireworks from the comfort of my own home. So I got a good view. And but my neighbors love fireworks, so I get a really great fireworks show without having to invest in one myself.
You even have to pay it. You know
And then at my job, my boss, we just kind of opened the fire doors in one of the locations, in one of the parts of the store, and we grilled out, and that was fun. Because I was off, but I went up there for that.
Yeah.
To, you know, just some team building, like, hey, this is what we do. We do those things. Yeah, so that was cool. We ate good and I just chilled out, you know, wish my brother a happy birthday.
That's fire. Mm-hmm. That's fire. Okay. I mean, we got on the grill, we chilled. Pretty normal. The fireworks, we did have some fireworks. Kids had a blast. I did enjoy that.
Baby can grill. Willie back.
I came through on the
Listen.
I came through on the grill. You feel me?
So right now, my daddy has a whole shirt. Shout out to Ira Shirts. My daddy has a whole shirt that says Grill Master on the back. I got it made for him, and he is. And my favorite food is grilled. Anything you put on the grill is my favorite food. I need to smell that smoke. So until I have not yet experienced the grill mastery that comes from Willie G, so I cannot personally vouch for it yet. So I am just waiting.
Grill mastery, I like that.
But I cannot confirm or deny the grill mastery that lives within Willie. I can vouch for my daddy.
It's official.
I can vouch for my daddy. And so I'm giving Willie G the rest of this 2023 summer warm grilling season to make me a believer in the mastery of him.
It's done
on the grill.
It's over with.
So stay tuned for. Listen, I'll be glad to give credit where credit is due, but I have not yet personally witnessed
the
grill mastery.
Anyways,
of Willie G. So stay tuned.
I got an icebreaker. I got an icebreaker. We're gonna crank it up. We got 2 women in the room and 1 man. It's kind of uneven, but it's all good. We still gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about. I want y'all input real quick. We're gonna stay on this like 5 minutes. Keke Palmer, go thoughts. Keke Palmer.
I need you to narrow that down. What about I love Keke Palmer, but is there a specific?
You don't know what's going on with Keke Palmer?
What's happening with Keke Palmer?
Okay, so Usher, she went to Usher's.
I thought you knew. I thought you was on it.
Bring me up to speed. I may have got it fragmented.
So she went to Usher's concert. She had a sheer dress on, her little booty cheeks was out. It was cute. So Usher was serenading her, singing to her or whatever, and her baby daddy gonna put on their outfit though. You're a mom.
Okay. So I did.
Boyfriend.
Well, excuse me, her
boyfriend.
Okay, so I did see that, and I wasn't quite because I saw it in passing.
Yeah.
That's Keke Palmer's
that's
boyfriend.
And
baby daddy. Boyfriend and baby daddy.
The father of her son.
Father of her son. Yeah.
She was getting serenaded by Usher with her cheeks out.
And he posted. But you were. What he posted?
It's the outfit though, but you're a mom.
I have thoughts, but I'm not gonna scratch it. But just what do you think about the whole situation?
I feel me personally, because I'm in a relationship. I feel like if my man felt a way about my outfit, correct me in public. I mean, correct me in private. Why would you correct me on social media?
But there's a question. Like, I don't know the whole details, so I'm not gonna go. But there is I don't think he was there.
No, he wasn't there.
So did he see the outfit? That's the question. Like, did he Was him going turning on the TV, seeing again, or turning on Instagram? I don't know, but was him turning on Instagram, seeing his lady being serenaded with? Was that his first time?
Was it the serenade from Usher or was it the outfit?
I don't know. I just want to know y'all thoughts on what he posted, like what the whole situation. I mean, honest.
I feel like
Hey,
I can understand probably why he had a problem with it, but like I said, correct me in private. Don't try to correct me.
I agree with that.
Because it's like he's trying to shame her as if moms can't dress sexy.
I agree. He said the wrong thing. I agree. I wouldn't have taken it to social media, and I wouldn't have said it. I mean, at that point, you done took an L. Like you really can't say nothing when Usher. I mean, ain't nothing you gonna say. Like it's already on Instagram. Usher serenading you. But I will say, you know what I'm saying? As a man, only as a married man, not as a dating man. I will say, if I would have turned on Instagram, like, listen, Usher is already him. That's him. And
To be fair, Usher is a married man.
Yeah, Usher is a married man, but
And for as much as he shares with us, a happily married man.
Happily
so
married
us
man.
assume what he has shared.
But I'm just saying, like, it can go. Like, I would have, like, I don't agree with him posting it on it. Like, I don't agree with him. And plus, what he said was kind of like, you know what I'm saying. But I do understand why he feel away, because I mean,
Okay.
I do understand why he feel away. Like, God,
Here's the thing.
what's your thoughts?
I can respect how he feels about it, but I agree that if you really do feel that kind of way about something like that, that's a discussion that should be had in the privacy of your relationship.
Definitely should be.
But especially since Keke Palmer is already a public figure and has been for the past 20 plus years.
I mean,
If it was someone who did not have this public profile who did this and got all kind of pop, then I could almost I could have some level of understanding for a guy who was like, well, we don't even do this public thing like this, and you put it out there publicly, and now it's gotten this social media viralism around it, so I have to address it in this space.
Yeah.
If it was a private person that happened to have a social media pop because of it, I can understand that. But for specifically Keke Palmer, she is a public figure. So handle that in private, because with the type of work that she does and has done for so long, it comes with a level of persona and public imagery that may not be the totality, and I would argue it's probably not the totality of who she is as a person, though it is the truth of her public persona. And sometimes the public has a hard time separating the difference between the persona and the person. But if y'all have had a child together, then there needs to be a respect for the persona and the person. Yeah. Because this isn't this space, this celebrity and public notoriety isn't something new for Keke Palmer.
Yeah.
You know, so
I agree. I agree with that
point. To me, my first instinct is Keke Palmer got name notoriety. I don't know who you are. And so my first question, and to be fair, it's based on some of my own experiences, is are you insecure?
That could, I mean,
and so again, once you peel back all the layers for me, I think for me, I land on you look like you're not stable in your security as a man. Because this could have been addressed privately.
Yeah, I definitely want to take it to
again,
social
because
media.
she is a public figure and has been a public figure long before she became a mom.
Yeah.
And you knew that, and I still can't just drop your name off like I know who you are. And that's not a disrespect. That's just, you know, where it is as like the notable celebrities. I personally just, you couldn't drop off his name to me and I know who he is, but I know who Keke Palmer is. And I've known for years, and I've enjoyed her work for years. And I've enjoyed and watched her evolution from as an artist. And she's, you know, of course the films and movies, but also in music and also in stage and and I still don't really know who he is. And so if you come in for her in a public arena space, you got to realize she ain't new to the public arena.
Yeah.
And so that is such a private, he's so entitled to have those thoughts and opinions.
Yeah.
He's so entitled to that. As someone who has fathered a child with this woman, that is a uniquely intimate situation to them. But if he want to come to her in a public space, when it comes to Keke Palmer, the only thing public about you in that space is the fact that you are Keke Palmer's baby daddy. Keke Palmer got a whole public celebrity that she has been cultivating for years.
Absolutely.
And so, again, your feelings may be valid, but your approach, I think, kind of pulls you out of your wheelhouse.
Well, I mean, we pretty much. I mean, so basically,
That's my thoughts
when it all
on
boils
it.
down to, like,
And also, you came across to me
do you think
as an Instagram. I do think his opinion is valid.
opinion, like, do you, like, because I don't agree you do public, because I, like, even with my wife, like, even if she does something that gets on my nerve, like, y'all not gonna know.
Yeah, no.
But
Right.
But I agree with that wholeheartedly. And plus, as a man, like, you already took an L. Like, you don't. There's nothing you can say online that's not gonna make you look crazy. So it's like, at that point, you gotta kind of eat that until y'all get
Now, I
home.
will say, if it were me personally in Keke Palmer's shoes, I would have needed you to address me privately.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, and then we'll slap. But at the same time, do you
And
think
even if
he's
you-
valid for feeling away?
Yes, I really do think he's valid for feeling away.
Yeah.
I do.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I think he's valid.
You got an opinion.
You know. I don't want to get stoned.
Okay. Well,
but
look.
No, but yeah, but no, I do think he's valid. I think people's reactions to things are sometimes involuntary.
I think he did too much.
I think
with
the
post.
reaction, like the internal reaction, I really believe some of those things are involuntary, but your response and your actions, your response to how you internally react is completely control. It's like being surprised. Like I just had a similar conversation with someone about how they reacted to the news that I was pregnant. And they called to apologize to me for their reaction. And I was like, well, your reaction is fine. But your response, you have a moment in between your reaction and responding to make a decision on how you're going to deliver that response to me. I was like, so you don't have to apologize. And I will be honest, this was my father.
Yeah.
I said, you don't have to, because his whole thing was like, I forgot you're not my 16-year-old girl anymore. And it was so sweet. I was like, I'm a little bit 26, but I told him, I said, Daddy, your reaction is completely valid because it's a surprise. It's not any news any of us planned for. So your reaction internally is completely, you really don't have much control. It's this is my reaction, then what do I do with it? And that constitutes your response. And you do have some control over that to not be detrimental, to not bring the whole, like for the Keke Palmer situation, to not bring the whole public into weigh in.
No, you can't bring the public.
So I think, that's a long way of saying, yes, I think his reaction is valid. It's whatever it is. That's his truth.
So we pretty much in the same place. Approach wrong, valid thing. But since we are in the conversation of relationships, I'm gonna go to another icebreaker because we just getting the juices flowing. Then we gonna go to the burden of the truth. But since we are like, this is a clear example, like, because you go on the internet, because I like to read comments, and it's a clear example of men and women think differently, and sometimes it's a trouble finding the middle place. So I want y'all to react to this clip. I know y'all have heard it, but I want y'all thoughts, because as men, as me in a marriage with a woman for 11 years, a lot of times we come to realize that we are not the same,
Yeah.
and sometimes that we are not the same butts heads, because your clear understanding, like, you can have a clear understanding of what's going on with me and be completely wrong.
Yeah.
So I just want a 5-minute reaction on this, and then we're gonna kind of, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna let y'all go.
I come home, and every time I come home and I'm not talking, it doesn't mean I don't like her. It doesn't mean that I'm mad at her. And it doesn't mean every time I flip out, freak out, get weird, act strange, it is not about you. So you don't need to fix nothing. You don't need to change anything. You don't need to fix me.
But I'm a fixer.
We're gonna go back.
My wife had to learn every time I come home, and every time I come home and I'm not talking, it doesn't mean I don't like her. It doesn't mean that I'm mad at her. It doesn't mean every time I flip out, freak out, get weird, act strange, it is not about you. So you don't need to fix nothing. You don't need to fix, you don't need to change anything. You don't need to fix me. It is not your job to fix me. It is not my job to fix you. It is my job to love you broken. Because if I can love you broken, maybe I can love me broken. If I can't love you flawed, then I really don't love myself flawed.
I want y'all thoughts on that. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially the main part when TD Jake said he had his in his marriage, his wife had to learn every time I came home quiet, or every time I'm in a mood, or every time it may look away from your perspective, it may look as if I'm, you know what I'm saying? But it's like understanding the male and even the female, the same, like understanding the differences, and like react to that. How y'all feel? How y'all feel about that?
So I'll go first. So from my perspective on this, whenever you do come home and your mood is changed, I'm thinking like, okay, what happened? How can I make you better? Like, not how can I make you better? Like, how can I bring peace to you? So I'm asking, what's wrong? What do you need? This, that, and the third. I'm trying to pull it out of you, like, what's wrong? Because I'm like, you don't have to hold it by yourself. You know what I'm saying? If I'm your helpmate, let me help carry whatever's holding you down. That's how I look at it. But then I got to the point like, maybe he just, now I see like, you know, he just, it's not me. It's you. But what's going on with you so that I can help you? That's how I feel about that.
It's just a difference in the way in the way men and women are built. Even in the Kiki Palmer, that's why I part of it. Even in the Kiki Palmer situation, even though, like I said, I don't agree with the public. I don't agree with that. But at the same time, I'm pretty sure because they obviously been together.
Yeah.
Like so it's like I wonder, does Kiki outside of the the post? I don't know if that's a deal breaker or not. It could be. That's that between them. But I wonder if Kiki can see like, okay, and I don't know. He could be a petty nigga. He could be. But if he not, I wonder can she see like, okay, I see how you feel. You know what I'm saying? Like you know what I'm saying? I wonder. How you feel how y'all feel about that? The differences and you know what I'm saying? And that differences melting together for a good relationship.
But you also gotta look at it too. He's probably coming at her as in, I'm want to be your husband. And she's like, oh, you ain't, I don't have no title. You don't own me. You don't claim me. So you gotta look at it from that aspect of it too, because she look like, I'm a single woman, ain't no ring on my finger.
That's a fair point.
Yeah, that's true.
Looking at it
That's
as,
a fair point.
I want to be your husband. I want to be your protector.
Yeah.
So you gotta look at it from that. It's two different perspectives.
And what's so interesting about that, it's been my experience, and I'm a single woman, but it's been my outside observation that guys may often keep that knowledge very private until they're ready.
Yeah.
So as to not create a false expectation in their woman. So for example, you may have a guy who's like, oh, I know, and especially when you hear back, like, oh, I knew the minute I saw her, I wanted to marry her. But then maybe you date for 5 years, and she's like,
no, you good.
and she's like, well, is he ever? And so she still has to, especially if you get into a certain age bracket with dating and certain different things or where she is in her life, you know, maybe she can't bank on, it's not a certainty for her until you say, will you marry me? Yeah. But he could have all of those thoughts, but he's not going to tell her. I've had guys straight up, I've seen a couple friends of mine who have been married for over 10 years now, but people used to ask him all the time, they dated for years before they got married, and people like, so when you gonna marry such and such? And his answer would be like, when I'm ready. And that was, when I say that was the totality of his answer. And so he was balanced enough not to feel like, for her to feel like she was getting strung along, but then women are like, hey, I can't take this to the bank until this is official. Yeah. But guys may have had a knowing in their mind for years that, no, this is my wife. And they could be making, every move they make is with that in their mind, but she doesn't know. So she's still moving like, I got options. Like, I need to protect myself in case he does not rise to that occasion. I hope he does, but maybe he won't. But I'm not putting up a brick wall there because I want to let him know that I'm receptive to it. But guys, there are so many guys who still keep that very private until they feel they are ready, and whatever ready means to them, and ready means different things for different men.
Yeah.
To your point, it could be that in his mind, this is gonna be my wife. This ain't just like, oh, you're a mom. And that's how it came out.
Yeah.
But that's what he said, like, oh, you're a mom. But it could be, yeah, you're a mom. Also, you're the mother of, not just a mom, but because there's a million moms. You're the mother of my child, and I have plans to make you my wife. She may not have a full and this is speculatory, but she may not have a full awareness
Allegedly.
that he's seeing her through these wife goggles.
Yeah.
But because she's living the reality of a single mother who's also a celebrity, who Usher is probably her homeboy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's such an innocence probably around that
Yeah.
that moment in regards to that lifestyle and that career choice. And so I do think that's an anomaly, and it would be different in a day-to-day, everyday setting. Mm-hmm. But when you put in the level of celebrity that she's attained, has been living in for years, and I still, like, honestly, if you dropped his name right now, I wouldn't know. You would have to say Keke Palmer.
So basically, y'all team Keke Palmer. I mean,
No.
but I mean,
Two-sided coin.
it's two-sided. I mean, either way, I agree.
I think it's trying to get just some global understanding, but not to say that men aren't valid
No, I understand.
in whatever they feel towards the woman, but also you may have fully valid feelings towards a woman that you, as far as intentions and
I wouldn't have
everything,
took it public,
and
though.
she's feeling the response of your like intentions, but you haven't clearly communicated those intentions to her. So take that example, like you coming at me like I'm your wife and we done had this whole conversation, but you haven't communicated to me that you want me to be your wife. You haven't asked me. There's no ring. And so there's this disconnect between, for women, like this is the life that I'm living and I can't take this to the bank, so I can take this to the bank.
Equally yoked.
I mean,
It can go down so many rabbit holes.
At the end of this, I will say this: as a man, like I know his ego's hurt. I wouldn't did it because as a man, you got a lot of men that's gonna look at look at my guy like, yo, you know what I'm saying? So it's an ego thing because, like I said, it's two different worlds. So like in the man world, you looking, not everybody, because I mean we seeing it, but a lot of he gonna get a lot of flack for this. He gonna get a lot of flack. He gonna get a lot of flack.
TD Jakes clip that you just played, I had to learn that, but I think it's anybody, if you're in a relationship, even in the most intimate relationships, you still have to see the individual person and their needs and learn how they communicate. Yeah. And so one of the things I had to learn as I transitioned out of one relationship into another, and they were so drastically different, it was, first of all, this isn't the same person, and I can't, because it's not the same person, I can't assume that a similar behavior means the same thing.
Yeah.
And so for one relationship, if I didn't hear from you for a few days, you could have been out doing some foul stuff. Mm-hmm. Where for another relationship, if I don't hear from you for a couple of days, I've learned that you are really working through some stuff internally. And when you are ready, you'll come back and be ready to talk to me about what those days have been like and about what you're feeling. But until you have fully kind of worked some things out, at least to a talking point in your mind, if I come and ask you what's wrong, you're going to be like, I'm good. And it's not that you are fully good. You haven't gotten to a place where you are ready to communicate because you're still working it out. And you may not have it fully worked out by the time you bring it to me, but at least I've learned through experience and patience and really trusting that, okay, this person is different from this person, so this behavior doesn't equate to the same thing that this behavior equated to in this other person. I've had to learn to be patient and also to detach myself and my identity and the way they may be acting acting, detach it from myself, and just because they're acting away doesn't necessarily mean they're acting away towards me in response to something that I have done. When I would do that, it was like, well, how confident are you in yourself, and do you feel like, are you in this relationship to be in an unhealthy space, a pleaser to the point like you think that everything that he does and all his happiness is tied to something that you've done or haven't done.
Yeah.
That is so unhealthy.
That is
and
unhealthy.
so when you have that healthy detachment and that really grow into that knowledge of who that person is to you,
That's toxic.
whether it's friendship or relationship, you realize that, okay, they just need a minute. But maybe in a past relationship, that minute that they needed meant a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I hear what he's saying that, yeah, and I think the root of what he's saying is like, I'm me and you're you,
Yeah.
and because and also I'm me and I'm not your past experiences. So make sure that you don't tie your self-worth up into how I may behave from day to day, and understand I may just need a minute, and that doesn't mean you've done anything necessarily right or wrong. It really may have nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And that's not an insult to you, but that means I'm also not putting you I'm not pulling from you from an unhealthy place that you can't deliver from. But you have to know that too on the receiving end. As a woman in that situation, you have to know, like, he just need what he need. And then I feel like if you do that it takes time. It does. It takes time. It takes
You
trust.
gotta learn each
it
other.
takes practice.
Yeah.
But I think for me and my relationships where that has happened, it took some trial and error. It took some practice, and it took some consistency on his part. So if he might step away for a few days, he'll come back with an explanation, or, you know what I'm saying? Well, like, hey, I wasn't just this, you know? And so I've learned to trust it and not feel threatened by his time away, even for me.
It's a learning experience.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, I like it.
And I think too, from the experience and learning, and it does take time and trust and some self-awareness to, like, you know what, I didn't do nothing wrong.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't absorb. But it really, you start to see it, the same thing that you might have saw as a threat to your relationship, you see as a necessity. You need to take your time, honey. Take all the time you need.
Everybody had their own
Just
dance.
check in from time to time. But no, if you fall off the grid for a couple of days, you must really need it.
Yeah.
So if it goes a little long, I might check in and be like, "You good? Everything all right?" But my job is to be, like you said, that point where when you're ready for me to help you carry this, I'm here for you. And my job isn't to make it about me, but to maybe be a reminder that I am here and I can carry a couple of these bags for you.
Yeah, I mean,
You know, this is your thing, and I can't, and I may not always understand everything you're going through, but a couple of things I could carry a couple of bags for you.
I mean, we be stubborn, but I mean, I'm gonna go away from relationships. Before we get to the burden of the truth, I do, like, okay, I want to ask y'all this one last icebreaker.
I'm only drinking through the icebreakers.
We believers here. You know what I'm saying? We believers here. I got a question. Do you believe America has sold its soul? Do you believe the devil is more out front in America than anything right now? Do you believe like the devil is just become like front line for American entertainment? You know what I'm saying? As a Christian believer, do you believe America has sold its soul is the question. And before we start, I have another one. Do you like? I mean, do you
hitting them.
God is mentioned at the Grammys, or God is mentioned at the Oscars, or football games, basketball games, or when you get $100 million contract. I want to just thank God, because without God and my mom and my family, I mean, it's kind of it. They don't talk about God no other time publicly other than a big moment happening. And yet, people are worshiping the devil publicly all year long. The whole music video had devil worshiping in it. Y'all see this. Y'all see what's going on. So at the end of the day, man, I just had to really realize, like, wow, man, Denzel Washington does not do an interview on a red carpet or a sit-down interview. He does not do any interviews without at some point transitioning into talking about the goodness of God.
Now, before y'all react,
Whenever God is mentioned,
that's enough, Tyrese. Now, I don't agree with everything Tyrese saying, but he been on the road lately. But
And see, this is recent.
this is recent. It's about weeks or two, about 2 weeks, something like that. But he went to the he got a viral clip on Big Boy's Neighborhood when he was basically saying like he stopped the interview. He was supposed to be promoting the new Fast Five. He stopped the interview. He was like, I'm tired of you know, like Satan being on Front Street, and it seems as it's like he basically saying like we need to be more vocal about our belief in God because it's being vocalized. Like Satan is being put on front page, and it's like and he's basically saying like my belief in God is like people quiet about it. Like the only time they mention it is like at a major moment, at a award ceremony. That's basically what he's saying. And the question is, do you think America has sold his soul? And me personally, I crank it off, make it easy, and then we're gonna go into burden of the truth. That is
Come on, man, pull out a braid.
that's a hard question. I mean, but on the real,
Whatever, I'm black.
like on the real, it's definitely darker. Like I'm gonna be honest. Like the whole layout is definitely darker. It's a lot of it's a lot of stuff being swept under the rug. That's why like even with my kids, and you know, I don't consider myself strict, but I do consider myself watchful. You know what I'm saying? Certain stuff I don't let them watch. You know what I'm saying? Because it's so crazy. Like the subliminals are so crazy, and it's like it is a darker overtone. And to be honest, like the most hated figure in America, I would say would be Jesus. You can say God, but when you say Jesus, it's an issue. And it's like and don't get me wrong, you got people like DC Young Fly killing it right now, like bold about it, but even what he doing, even what he doing is like I mean everybody got love for DC Fly, but even everybody don't like how he pushes faith out like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how y'all feel about? Do you think America still has a soul, or has he sold it already? Has he sold it already?
Ooh, shoot, I feel like America has put itself on clearance.
America's putting itself on clearance.
America has put itself.
How we feeling?
That's a lot to unpack.
That's a very layered question.
But I do feel like people are more bolder. They are bold because most times satanic people was very undercover. They did it. Now it's very out loud because those people have tapped into a darkness that has given them what they've been praying to God for, that God has not released to them. Or they say, okay, that's not for you. So people have tapped into it and it has been giving them what they want.
I even mean in subtle ways, like even love songs. Like we don't even have don't get me wrong, mainstream. I'm not saying we don't have love songs because we do, but the majority of mainstream, like we don't really have like love songs no more. We don't like everything is one track. Mainstream. I'm not talking about in the music because it's good music out there. It is people still making love songs, but as far as like mainstream,
You know who advocates so hard for that? Like he really does, and I really believe he loves
Tank.
the Lord. Tank. You
Tank.
know I'm gonna always go hard for Tank.
nah, Tank talk about R&B. Like Tank is an R&B advocate.
He is, and he's such an advocate for the authentic baseline of what R&B is and how it can move people in their heart and soul. And I believe he loves the Lord.
I wouldn't doubt it.
I also really love Tank.
I'm about to say I haven't seen too many Tank interviews, but I mean, before we go on back, do y'all feel America has sold its soul, or in line to do it? You know what I'm saying?
I feel like America's on clearance.
Yeah, nay.
I don't think
And then we can move.
She has sold her soul, but I feel like she's on clearance. I feel like she's being a little cheap.
One nation under God still? Nah. I'm just saying.
Were we ever?
Were we?
Here's the were we ever? I think it's such a layered question.
It's definitely layered.
As far as like soul to soul, I think the first phrase that just kind of came to mind is that sometimes the devil is louder in a moment, but it doesn't mean that God is not greater.
Oh no, God gonna win.
And I think he's just having a loud moment in the specifically in the area of through the tactic of confusion. Confusion, and it goes back to the initial Garden of Eden, making yourself equal with God in a way that he didn't intend. You know, in the way that gets you and your humanity the glory. But you got to remember, the devil deals in subtleties. And so he lies, but he doesn't lie outright. And so, so he's saying things to you like, hey, if you do this, then you'll be just like God. When God himself said, I made you in my image. And so it's so thin in the differences, but one of them points to the glory going to God and his infinite wisdom in creation, and the other goal is the glory stops with self.
But did America
And
ever have a soul though? Did we ever have a soul?
America is such a young nation when you consider the history of civilization. The land itself was founded with the earth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was founded with the earth.
I'm talking about, yeah. I'm
But
talking
as
about
far
the
as
nation.
like the civilization, the nation of it is so young in comparison to global civilizations. And the history of this country was created in a superiority of a single group, a dissension from another rule, from wars, from ownership of other humans, from the displacement of the original people who inhabited a space that you just decided you wanted. So America has a very dark and brutal and selfish history. So it's not surprising that those elements are still prevalent and coming up and rising to the forefront of the DNA of the country that we now live in the year of our Lord 2023.
Okay. So I mean, I don't say all the way. I say it's like in the line, like maybe like a couple people behind. It like it's on the verge. When I say soul, it's just like I'm just saying like I mean because as black people we know like it's built off of blood money. It's built off our ancestors. So I mean like we have a very unique relationship with America from the very beginning.
Here's the thing: you cannot deal with the issues of a nation without dealing with the humans who inhabit that nation. Because you could talk about America as an entity and has she sold her soul and she is this idea, but she is governed by human beings. She is populated by human beings, and individuals with certain ideas and agendas can rise to power.
Yeah.
And then their ideology becomes synonymous with the whole nation when it may not be reflective of the populace of the humanity of that nation.
We just hit an hour.
Oh, really?
So,
Okay.
and we ain't even into the meat yet. But so has she sold her soul? The question is, have the individuals who now have the most power and influence on the things that are enacted in this country, have they sold their souls?
That's a good question.
That is the more narrow, more accurate question, I think.
I think I'm gonna just go because we need. I'm gonna get to the meat. I got some job. I got some job, but we gonna like
We'll get it on the B-roll.
We're gonna go to the burden of the
We'll do
truth.
it in the after show. It's always an after. In case y'all didn't know, it's always an after show.
We're gonna go to the burden of truth and what I mean by the burden of truth. I'm gonna set the tone.
Forgive my hiccups.
Careful, you can lose your identity seeking popularity and lose sight of who you are, trying to fit in with who they want you to be. I want to be in the number of people who resist the trends and winds of fluctuation and know who I am so that I don't get caught up in the current of who you want me to be and lose sight of who God created me to be. Even if I end up on the table, I would rather be a few in number and know who I am than to be diluted and polluted by public opinion until I lose all sight and direction and uniqueness of my own self. That means
Okay. I just said that so we can come back down. I want y'all to hear that. And this is what I mean by the burden of the truth. This is okay. It started with a Bible verse. It actually started with Keandra because I was going to call it the burden of proof, but as we was praying this morning, right before the pod, she said the burden of the truth. And it's a Bible verse. It's a Bible verse. It's a famous one. When Jesus was about to be crucified, and he was in front of Pilate, and Jesus was saying, I'm paraphrasing. All my Bible scholars, I'm paraphrasing, but he was like those who hear the truth. Let me go and pull it up. He was right in front of Pilate. He was like, those who are of the truth, listen or hear me or something like that. And then Pilate said, what is truth? You know what I'm talking about?
Help him out. Because I want to follow. But then when you get into the New Testament and the Gospels, you have the Gospels according to different people. So you can have a lot of the same scriptures with slightly different verbiage.
I know y'all know what I'm talking about. It's
Who
popular.
said it?
It's Pilate said it. But
According to who?
John.
Okay.
John. What's that? Here we go. John 18 and 38. All right, we're gonna start here.
And read.
And read. I used to read for my pastor. Listen.
John 18 and what was it?
I used to read for my
It's
pastor.
like John 18
Keep him
and
flowing.
38, but you could go up a little bit. It's John 18 and 38. I want to get the right verbiage, but I bet he was talking to Pilate right before he got crucified, and Pilate said the famous line, "What is truth?" But I'm gonna get y'all context so y'all can get with me. Where you at? You at night? Go like to 37 or something like that. What? Let me see it. Okay, we got the actual Bible out today. This is crazy.
Listen, I like old school pages that turn.
This is crazy. Okay.
The e-Bible, I still ain't fully connected with the e-Bible.
Okay.
You have it?
No, I mean I still use it. I do, but it's nothing like it's not comparable to highlighting them words and underlining and flipping them pages and starring stuff.
Okay. Pilate answered, are you? He said, "Am I a Jew? Your own nation and chief priests have delivered you to me. What have you done?" Jesus answered, "My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom were of this world, my servants would fight, so that I should not be delivered by the Jews. But now my kingdom is not from here." Pilate therefore said to him, "Are you a king then?" Jesus said, "You are right that I am a king. For this cause I was born, and for this cause I have come into the world, that I should bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth hears my voice." Pilate said to him, "What is truth?" And I'm gonna stop right there. The burden of truth. Pilate answered him, and that question alone is I think that's one of the most epic questions ever said in history. You know what I'm saying? Because I actually made a rap song and it said, excuse the language, but it said, "What is the truth?" It was like one of my first rap songs, and we said, "What is the truth but a story told by another nigga on another day trying to find a different way to get it?" And it's like, what? So when I say the burden of truth, I'm gonna circle this all back to purpose. But when I say the burden of truth, like, first of all, to me that's a audacious statement when you say truth. Because when you say truth, that means like nothing else. Like when you say Jesus is the truth, you're automatically saying everything else outside of him is not. And even especially when it comes to who you are as a person, when I say there's a truth about you that you have a choice to either stand on or run away from, even when others can't see it. It's like there's a truth about you. There's a truth that God is telling you that you are this. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I am a podcaster. You are an author. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that truth is, is like you have to, like, it's a burden because truth is unmovable. Truth is it doesn't change. You know what I'm saying? Facts can change by circumstances. Like, it could be hot today and that's a fact, and it could be cold tomorrow, but truth never changed. And I wrote something down. About truth, and I'm gonna let y'all go. But I wrote something down about truth and why it's a burden. Think and grow rich. I just think I look at it later. I just think the whole truth thing that's what stuck out to me when because that's a bold statement. It's truth. It's like, okay, I was talking to God. I was like, God, if you don't exist, I don't want to do this. I don't want to fake. I don't want to pretend. I don't want to do like. And just that at that moment, I got a little nervous because I had to accept the fact, even though I've done it 100 times, it's it makes my heart flood every time when I really embrace the fact that God exists, because that's a huge truth. You know what I'm saying? And it changes your life. And in that moment, God was like, imagine someone who has believed their whole life. Because I got kind of nervous because I'm like, God, if you're not real, and something comes and just blows my world up and says that you don't exist, I don't have nothing to stand on. Like, I'm 33 and all I know is God exists. Do the good and the bad and the ugly. But what if someone came and ripped? Luckily, it's true. But what if someone came and ripped that away from me? And then God was like, then Holy Spirit was like, imagine what it feels like for people who have believed their whole life that God doesn't exist. And whatever moment, whatever transaction, whatever happens in a moment, they realize that, oh, he do exist now. And it's like, now they gotta, the exact same way I would be distraught if I knew God, if something came along and was like, God don't exist. It's the same way it is when someone who has believed their whole life that God doesn't exist, and now in a moment they have to embrace that he does. You know what I'm saying? And if that's not a burden.
It is, because I think what it brings, when whatever point you are in your life, when you come to that conclusion, whether it's that conclusion, whether it's wow, God does exist, or if you believe wow, God doesn't exist, like, I feel like it would be earth shattering. But I think it comes down to the first question, especially as you get further in life. It is, if this is true, what has my life been up until this point? And so then it's not so much about the weight of that moment, but you start to go back and like look at how many day-to-day decisions for 33 years, for 40 years have you made based on believing that this was true. And if something comes up and you find out that this wasn't, you have to go back and reevaluate your entire life that was built on a foundation that this was true. And if something comes that says your foundation is faulty, then everything you've built on it comes into question. And could it come crumbling down? I think that is the weight of that scenario of like, for that person that, like, I'll live my whole life believing that God doesn't exist, and I come in an encounter with a moment where my belief is challenged and there's no other explanation for this moment that I'm standing in except that God does exist. It's not so much, because that moment should be filled with gratitude and it should be an overwhelming sense of joy. But it also comes with it your whole prior life and your whole, that is based and built on a whole prior belief of the opposite thing. So I can imagine how earth-shattering that would be, not because of the moment, but because of my entire life up until that moment, and how long would it take to peel back every decision, every moment, every coincidence, every accident, every good thing, every crazy thing, every decision I made, every prompting. Was it mine? Was it God? Was it me? Was it him? That could send you into a mental instability.
Make you question reality.
Yes.
Like, yo.
Yes, it can make you question reality, because there is a level of relation that the truth has to your experience. And if the validity of your experiences come into question, then it's just like the validity of your existence comes into question, because you define your life through what you've done and what you've been through.
Yeah.
It's such a big thing, and that's why belief is so powerful. And so sometimes there it could be argued from one perspective that, well, the truth depends on what you believe.
Exactly. That's why.
So what is true to you
What is
based
true.
on what you believe, and you will get results back, tangible results back in your life based on what you believe, and that is the greatest truth that you live in. But then if I would decide that I see you, you're valid, but I'm choosing to live in the greater truth, and then I start to yield results back in my life that's aligned with this greater truth, I'm going to hold on to the thing that's giving me the best results.
I think that's why transition, like we talk about transition a lot. Like I think that's why transition and growth is so scary, because when as you transition, as you growing, as you becoming like even now, like when you transition and grow to a higher place, it's like the same way it's a shell shock to acknowledge that God exists or whatever. I think it's the same. I think we get the same shell shock when you say yes to who God is telling you who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, you thought you were this. You know what I'm saying? But you're really this. And then when like I
That
think
is a
I
moment.
think like it's a bird like that. Like I was saying, that burden of truth. That moment you say you accept when God's saying, Joseph, you're not a slave. You're the second highest ruler in Egypt. Or David, you're not a shepherd.
Yeah.
You're a king. You know what I'm saying?
It's that moment where you it can be tough for some people. I do think everybody has to have their own wrestle
Yeah.
with it. That's why even the thing with like when Jacob wrestled with God, and at the end of that wrestling, his name was changed from Jacob to Israel.
Yeah.
And I love those scriptures where they're talking about the same man, but they toggle back and forth between calling him Jacob and calling him Israel. Jacob refers to the man in the humanity experience, where Israel refers to God's intention and purpose. And so I think everybody does have that wrestling with, do I get to decide who I am, or do I get to discover who I am? Because if I decide, that means I completely control it. If I get to discover, that means that it was predestined before I ever got here. So do you want to decide who you are, or do you want to discover who you are? And I'm in a discovery. I believe that God did create me before I knew it had any consciousness of all of those different things. That is what I choose to believe based on the word of God, based on his word being true in so many other areas of my life. But for it could be really earth shattering. It's so deep in it's your whole life, but also it is a really simple. It's like the truth you live in will be based on what belief you live in.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as far as that whole belief and that truth of like, do you think it's true that God says this about you? Again, if you haven't wrestled with God and come out with a name change, even if it's this name change, like, okay, this is where the name of your company came from. I wrestled with God and I thought I was a writer, and it's more than that. I wrestled with God and I thought I was going to have this career path, and it was this. Or I wrestled with God and I thought I was defeated, but he told me I was an overcomer. The end of your wrestling with God should come out with a name change that's aligned to what he said about you. But also, if you study the scriptures, there is a toggling back and forth between Jacob and Israel. Just like, no, listen, you are who God says, but you got to live it out through this man, this human experience. And every now and then they're going to wrestle. But at the end of that match, I want to live in what God called me.
The wrestle is real because you wrestling on what you thought you was or what you want to be. And you wrestling with.
And so again, are you deciding or are you discovering?
And
if you're deciding, that the glory and the mental capacity stops with you. If you're discovering, it's a conscious acknowledgement that somebody else put this here before I even knew, and as I live, I'm uncovering things. Oh, it is being revealed to me as I uncover through the experiences of my life.
That's why I mean, and that's why I think it's like when you say truth, because like, okay, truth doesn't change. I don't care. Truth is truth regardless. So it's like whatever you are, whatever God's telling you are, you can only live under that, or you can be that. You know what I'm saying? There's no in between. You can either live under your potential, or you can either be that.
Be fully in it. Mm-hmm.
And it's like
or those people, you see those people, and I feel like I used to be one at some point. I don't want to be this anymore. Is that people like go and visit their potential, and then they come back and live in their comfort, and then they go visit their potential again and have a pop, but It takes some discipline to sustain. It takes some wisdom. It takes some study, and then instead of just like committing to a life to fully realize their potential, they just visit their potential and they come back and live in comfort. I had to decide that I don't want that to be the cadence of my life.
I mean, and just the fact that, okay, when you find out a truth, a truth is a truth, and I think it's really crazy to me to live in this natural life, knowing that, knowing that life isn't all natural. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you believe in God, it's like embracing that fact that I gotta live in this natural life, and it's really like okay, God is this. Okay, that's all fine and dandy. It feels good. Okay, all hell breaking loose. But the truth is that God still exists. This is what I'm still believing in. You know what I'm saying? But everything around me is trying to shake this reality. You know what I'm saying? Everything around your life is trying to shake. Okay, you're not this. You know what I'm saying? You're not really this this popping author. I'm about to
But
say
I
artist.
am.
You're
But
not-
I am.
You're not
Even if
really,
I haven't popped all the areas I could pop, I am.
You're not really this magazine owner, creator.
But I am.
And it's like you still got to stand on that truth.
I do.
You still gotta believe that when even though you popping right now, and we're gonna get some.
But some days I wake up and be like, do I really own a magazine?
But it's like you gotta hang on.
I wonder what the next issue gonna be, just like y'all wonder what the next issue.
You gotta hang on to your truth with dear life. But listen, you gotta hang on to your truth, and especially when people don't see it. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta stand on that truth. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you know how many people in the world don't believe God exists? You know what I'm saying? And have intelligent arguments.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like so it's like you have to hang on to your truth and the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like
I just want to not ignore the comments.
what
Thanks.
happened?
People visit their potential and come back to their life instead of deciding to live in abundance.
Ooh.
I decided, you know what? Thank you for that comment. But
So say it again. They
said-
what he said?
people visit their potential and come back to their life instead of deciding to live in abundance.
Deciding to leave. What does that look like?
But here's
What-
the thing:
that's fire,
decide.
though.
It is.
That's
It
fire.
is. But when you really look at that, when you decide to live in abundance, don't think that doesn't come with some responsibility, some discipline, some upsets to your comfort.
Yeah.
If abundance was just easily obtained, everyone will live in it. But does everybody know? Obviously not.
Well, and the crazy thing about it
And
is,
so here's the thing: there are certain decisions that if you decide this, you decide some other things by default. If you decide I'm going to live in abundance, then all of a sudden you decided to live a more disciplined life. You decide to live in a greater stewardship. You decided to live in a greater skill set and knowledge around the things that you do and the decisions you make and the relationships that you make, the partnerships, the business decisions you make. One big overarching decision is a series of small decisions. If you commit to this, then by default you've committed to that. So to that point,
it's the truth.
it's like to desire to live in abundance. That is amazing, and I just love. Thank you for that comment, deeper on poetry. Thank you so much for that comment. But the decision to live in abundance, and I think that's my issue with the manifestation conversation.
What?
Because people are like, well, I'm going to manifest this thing, and they think you're just saying it that it's not a layered process to manifest the thing. Like, oh, it's not just saying it. So saying that you want this by default says that you commit to this.
Yeah.
If you want to live in this level of excellence and consistency, then you've decided that discipline needs to be a part of your lifestyle. Routine needs to be a part of your lifestyle. Good stewardship, honor,
Yeah.
like, you know what I'm saying, respect. Thick skin, depending on what industry you're going into.
You gotta grow into
There's
it.
so many different things that when you say you want this, you don't realize the fine print that comes with some of the decisions that you say. Well, I just want to. The people that say, "Oh, I want to be a multimillionaire." Do you understand what you're asking, what you're saying that you're going to steward, and the level of discipline that it comes to steward that amount of wealth?
And you got.
And I think, and also, like, it's amazing to aspire to that. But if you want this, you're saying that you're gonna have it. You're gonna commit to these things in the fine print,
Yeah.
and it really will make you a better person. And they are a pathway to abundant life, but it's not necessarily comfortable.
Yeah.
And you got to get comfortable with being abundant. It's like before you.
And that comes with a whole nother abundance level set of issues
You have to
that don't
allow
exist on
yourself-
poverty level.
That's what I'm learning. I gotta allow myself like be comfortable with abundance, and it's like because once you're on a certain level,
Master it.
Like once you leave, like abundance is something like if you're not used to it, it can scare you.
It can scare you.
know what
It
I'm saying?
can overwhelm you. And I remember a scripture that the Lord gave me. He does this with a lot of scriptures, but one literally at the beginning, right before I went, I shared it with some of my homegirls that we
embrace it anyways.
some of my homegirls that we get together and pray together. Shout out to the girl squad. But he showed me, I think it was Isaiah 55, where he says like, when you pass through the waters, they will not overtake you. When you pass through the rivers, all these different things.
My favorite,
And every time he said, look at it from a kingdom perspective, because every time I heard it ministered and preached, it was from an underneath a poverty mindset or from an outside perspective of the kingdom. It's just like, you know what, like it was always, if these negative things come, they won't overtake you. If these bills get really like large in amount, they won't overtake you. If this negative issue. But God said, look at it from a kingdom perspective. A lot of the things that I have called you to come with some really things that are perceived as good, but forget good or bad. It's just things that come with the level. So there's certain, like, abundance won't overtake you either. When you pass through the waters of like more peace and blessings and opportunity and open doors and access, that could overtake you too. But if you're living in me, when I break you through to that level, he said, stop looking at it from a poverty mindset from below and look at it from above, from a kingdom, he's like, so the blessings of the Lord won't overtake you either. Yeah. And I had to be really encouraged in that. It's just like, you know what? You won't be overtaken by good any more than you'll be overtaken by bad. If you stick with me, none of this will overwhelm you. And there are instances of people being overwhelmed by things that should be good things. And the easiest example is the people that win a lottery and lose it in a year.
Yeah,
because they don't know how to do it. It's just too much. Everybody coming at them. The people want this level of public notoriety and public platform, but it comes with a lot of things that you don't even have to deal with on these lower levels. See, God said, when I take you to those levels and break you through, then that good and that will not overtake you anymore than overdue bills could have overtaken you at a lower level.
But you gotta. It's true, because either way, it's a mindset thing. It's always a mental thing. And what I'm learning is the difference between a fear and an anxiety. Like a fear is, and we get them confused, because a fear is immediate danger. Like if somebody walked in here with a gun or a big dog walked in here, then you have a reason to be feared. Most things we deal with is anxiety. And like Myron Golden got this thing, it was like, okay, whatever you tell yourself, you're making up anyways. Because right now, we're in the podcast, so you can tell yourself that, okay, this podcast is going to blow. It's going to get 1 million views. Or you can tell yourself, this podcast is going to get 3 views. You're making up them both. You might as well make up the one that, you might as well focus your thoughts on the one that is benefiting you. He got this thing, he was like, it always goes back to belief, but he was like, when people say they have writer's block, or people say they don't want to get this building, they don't want to start this building, or they don't want to start this thing, a lot of times it's not that you have writer's block, it's not that you lazy about starting the business, you don't believe the book is going to sell, or you don't believe the business is going to be profitable, or you don't believe whatever you put your hands to is going to work.
Sometimes it's as simple as, I still think this is amazing, but there's no way that someone else could believe that this is as good as I believe that it is, and they didn't create it themselves. Like, I get it. This is my baby. My book is my baby. My magazine is my baby. The podcast is your baby. And like, it's some part of it is that thing that the devil will, like, if he can't get you on one side, he'll get you on another. It's just like, why do I even, how arrogant am I to think somebody else should love my baby as much as I love my baby? Yeah. And then, but again, the devil will take whatever he can do to slow you or hold you back, he'll do. And for some people, just that negative won't work, or just throwing obstacles won't work. But if he can get internal and like, well, it's not that it's not worthy of love, but why would anybody else love your baby the way you love your baby? And maybe they don't, but it doesn't mean that they're not benefiting from it. It's not good for them. And if God told you to do it, whatever it does for you, I have learned this through ministering. Whatever it does for you, it will do for somebody else. And it's an overflow of what it's done for you. So there is, and this is a complete, I've experienced this. It's just like when I have enough peace in a situation to give out of overflow, it's that if somebody can associate a peaceful moment with me, then that means God has used me and allowed peace to pass through me to somebody else. But it would be so cruel of him to have me be a conduit of something that I'm also not a beneficiary of. Yeah. So if everything he does is overflow, without limit, more than enough, excess, exceeding abundantly, above all that we can ask or think. So if he's going to minister peace through me, then it's going to be enough to be the peace that I need and the overflow for whoever I'm assigned to. If it's a couple of people, if it's 5,000, if it's 5 million, but he is not so cruel that the thing you minister, you don't also get.
Yeah. And I agree. And as far as like this truth thing, like you have to, truth is not useful first if it's not valued and it's not applied. Okay, and what I mean by this is, okay, if God is telling you like don't devalue whatever like the truth of what God is showing you. First of all, it's like even with like I've learned like I don't devalue your thing. Like if you don't devalue you or what you bring to the table. Like don't keep putting it in front of people who don't appreciate it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like do not like what I'm saying is like know where you value and value it. You know what I'm saying? It's like value it enough to place it in places where it is valued. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know who's gonna value it until you put it out there. But once you put it out there and you I'm not saying like, okay, everybody got their cup of tea. Some people like wheat bread, some people like white. You know what I'm saying? But do not surround yourself with people who don't see the greatness in what you do. Do not, because then you devaluing what God, like if God is telling you this, you know what I'm saying? And you keep putting out this in front of people who see it as this small thing.
But going back to the burden of truth, you can't be around people who devalue the gift that's within you. But you also, it's dangerous to be around people who overinflate what you do and tell you that you better when you not.
That's that yes man.
That's where the truth is. Like you have people that can see the truth of you. It's like, sweetie, you're not made to be a rapper. I see you, but you are good at this, and that. It's like, no, I don't, like, the world will catch up. You keep doing it. You keep going to the studio. You keep making rhymes, and eventually the world will catch up. You need somebody that sees the truth. And if it's a truth that's contrary to what you're living, do they have the tact and the spirit-led words to encourage you into where you should be, out of wasting time and being a poor steward? But then also, when it's those people who love you, do they see the truth in enough? Like, you know what? Nobody sees it but you. But I keep going. Stay in the studio. Stay consistent. You know what I'm saying? But those people who see the truth just see the truth, and the truth doesn't take the side of right or wrong of your how you gonna feel about it. But the truth is.
The truth is fair.
The truth will set you free, and it will give you the freest life.
No, hey, nobody wants yes men. Yes men will deteriorate.
It will lead you into a fake life.
Yeah, because if you bad, but like if someone came along and said you're a bad author, would you receive that?
It depends on who said it, but not easily. No.
So there's a person on earth that can tell you that you're a bad author. I'm not saying you don't need work, but is there anyone on this planet Earth that can tell you
that I'm just a bad author? No,
exactly.
There are some people who could critique me. That's a different thing.
That's different.
But real talk, if you don't even read and you tell me I'm not a good writer, I promise you I don't care. I promise. If you don't read and you tell me I'm not a good writer, when I say I promise from everything within me that I don't care, I don't. And I really just would hope that you just learn to love reading and then revisit my work. But if someone who I respect as an author has some criticism for me as an author, I am more inclined to listen. But also, it is love, but also, and I've had this where people gave me advice out of their expertise, and I respect their expertise, but sometimes that will come up to challenge what God told you about, I'm taking you a different way. It's like, I hear you, I respect it, and I would probably, under different circumstances, advise somebody in the same way, but I know what God told me.
And that's my point.
Becomes the greater truth.
That's my point. That's my point. When
If you everything I talk about truth has to point to God as the greatest truth.
That's what I'm trying
and
to
it
say.
may have layers, and it may be like, well, you don't necessarily matter because you just go with the trends. You know me intimately, so I really do have a different value on what you say. But I get along with God, and I hear what He says to me, and He said it enough times, and I have enough intimacy with Him that my belief in what He says to me is unshakable. So even people that love me the most cannot sway me from what God said, but I respect their love and how they approach me, and something that I disagree with.
No, that's fine. I'm gonna have to. I got 4%, and then we're gonna lose this audio.
Listen,
We're gonna lose.
shout out to those people that grade you with us.
We're gonna lose. But I mean,
That's good.
I can go on. But just to end it, I can't because it's connected. It's connected. Just to end it, that's what you said at the end is what I was trying to say. At the end, I want people, because if you don't critique, like, trust me, everything I'm doing now, like everybody I hang around, from Darius to my cousin Winston, listen, I've been like, we done had all the conversations. Look, video trash. It's like, why do you think I'm here now with the quality? You know what I'm saying? I'm here because people who love me saying, yo, that was trash, I ain't like it. I done recorded whole videos, paid for the videos, and the world has never seen them. The world has never seen them because somebody honestly told me, yo, that was trash. And I didn't get offended. But at the end,
Because I be coming to Willie for his spelling all the time.
I know that.
And I be like, but Willie, I'm right here.
But at the end of
But
the
I
day-
also respect the grind of everybody busy. I have a moment to get this out, and I'm just getting it out now. I have such a respect for that, but also I do cringe. I'm like, I can fix that. I write for a living. I know
at the
words.
end of the day,
But also it don't stop. It don't.
at the end of the day, you believe, like, I won't.
But I believe that the gift in Willie is greater than the mistakes in his grammar.
I know I can't.
And we gonna stand on that,
I know my
and we gonna cover him, and I'm gonna
be
be like,
rushing.
send me this and I'll fix it.
I be rushing.
Send it to me, but keep going. Listen,
rushing.
I can handle that for you, but keep going. But if you only got a minute in between all the business that is your life as a husband and a father and a working provider for your family and a man of God that got to get along with God, all of that stuff, if you have a misspelling, I promise I got grace, but also I can help.
I know. Like, Keanu give me all the time. Will everybody I know do that? So you're not the only. You're not even only. You're not the only one.
I sent him a message on Instagram, and then on Facebook, I was like, and I eventually I just went in and covered it up and made a new graphic over it. Did you
Everybody
see it?
who know me,
Did you see it?
everybody who close to me, they do that. All right, so we good. We about
We are good.
At the end of the day,
Oh,
that one going.
This will go to.
At the end of the day, I
we
just
still
want.
rocking on
I
all
just
my
want you.
lives.
I just want
all
you
my
to
Samsung
stand,
devices.
to value your truth, stand on your truth, and you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, someone's truth is not always their truth. Because if that was the case, Tom Brady would not be the GOAT. Because the truth.
We took a turn and we ended up with Tom Brady. Wrap this
We're
up.
gonna go with part two. We're gonna go with part two. It's just we can divide. I got 3%, but yeah. Okay, we are No Labels Podcast. I am your host, Willie G. We got Miss Audrey.
All right, y'all. It's been a
We got the
while.
Queen in the building.
All right, Key, the
We outta here.
Queen.